Alright guys, I told you that I was kind of interested in doing some task force stuff. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch the entire task force do Gambit. So here is the first player. They go over here and they're spending a ton of points. I mean, it really would have been better for them to just use two shots. They're trying to spend all of that energy on everything. But honestly, they need to be attacking this way. They need to be attacking this way. You always got to look at what kind of range they have. So see, like right now, he's attacking the front. No reason for that. Then he has a shit ton of people. No control over his units. If you got no control over your units, you are not going to be. This is just ridiculous. This is why you always have to make sure that you save some energy for flares. And apparently he had energy for flares. He was just being completely retarded. So yeah, I don't on this at all. First of all, there's no reason to even this way. The heavies would have soaked up the mine damage. I mean, unless you're super under leveled. And then he's got his units split up. I mean, the heavy should be in the front of everything. You should flare if your units are going out of position. And you should always try to use shocks. Shocks are the most important when you're trying to take down a defense that your units are going to be able to reach. The most important when your units are not going to be able to reach is artillery. Barrage looks really fancy and it does a ton of damage per rocket, but the problem is that those rockets can go tons of random directions. So like in this, if you're going to, and this is a bad idea, if you're going to use barrage here, you're going to want to use it on the middle one. It's also going to hit over here, which is going to hit nothing, and it's going to hit over here, which hits nothing. Now, say that these were towers instead of energy cells right here. Now, if you barrage over here, it's going to have a great chance of hitting everything over here, but it might also shoot some rockets over there, which means damage lost. Now, let's go ahead and go right to another one. We're going to check this guy out. Alright, he's actually landing on the correct side, and he uses shocks, which is great. And he uses the flare to group up his units where he wants them out of the range. He uses the shock again. This is all really, really good so far. Maybe wanted to use another shot. He's losing, what, like 3 heavies on that? Now this is a little bit dangerous. He didn't do his angle. If he would have angled over here instead of up there, they would have came over here, they would have seen the closest building, and they would have walked over there. The problem is, if you flare over here, and there's a mine there, they're going to walk that way instead of this way. So you always have to make sure that you're angling your units properly when you're using flare. Let's just go through this. He's doing really good, I gotta say. Not at that point you kind of gotta say what's more important, these units or the gunboat energy. Now that's a horrible waste. You never want to use med kits while people are walking. If he would have used that med kit right there, that one heavy would have gotten the full effect, and there's really no reason to use the med kit when there's only one unit that's hurt like that. To have saved that for an engage when the other units have a possibility of being hurt as well. And he's just gonna see, this is what I really like, is if you're in a situation where your guys are gonna be walking straight to energy, layer them over there. I mean, granted, eventually I think right around here is where the range for that shock would have came into effect. You're getting all this energy until then, and now see they're flaring. That's just, it's not good. It's not good. This guy, I don't even know what's going on. Just so you guys know, he he ended up doing a little bit of damage, but not much. He ended up flaring over there and just completely screwing it up. So this guy just used his gun buddy and quit. So really, he just spammed all his gunboat energy and he quit. Never, ever do that. I am almost certain. Yep, he got kicked out because of that. You have to deploy troops. If you don't deploy troops, you're probably gonna get kicked out. Now, this is interesting. Doing barrage, it's way better to do artillery. He has 2 barrages. It's definitely better to do artillery than 2 barrages. If there's 1 or 2 that are touching you, you only go artillery instead of barrage. I don't artillery right there. And then you do another one. You be using all that energy to be getting into position because this is not going to work well for him. Now, if he took his gas and just marched it all the way around here, and then got all the way over here, shocked it, flared it, his units would have done. And then also, he doesn't have a very good comp. His comp is only good if you're going to be attacking things like sniper towers or his comp is actually ridiculously horrible if you're just going to walk through and end up dying. In fact, that's probably one of the worst comps that you could have for walking through mines and dying. So, kudos to him. Yeah. He did probably the worst thing you could have done. Hopefully this is showing you guys what you can do better. It's pretty ridiculous. Okay, now he's taking out the shock. That's great. You can just go ahead and flare all the way over here. Your guys will naturally go over to here, and you get those tanks in position. The tanks have a longer range than Zookas, so then this is a great start. But instead, what he decides to do is go attack the furthest thing away if possible. And we're just gonna watch how this plays out. I don't think this is a very good idea. Okay, he's trying to take away some of that damage. This damage is pretty much going straight to one person, beating the shit out of him. So this is not gonna work out for you. The only thing he could have done right here is flare right here. You in the circle of both of these, and neither one of them would have hit you. But the problem is, if that is in cannon range, you can't do that. Now, there might be a chance to do it right here, basically doing the same thing that could be out of cannon range. That's why you want to plan your attacks out first before you do them, and you want to look at the range. You want to find out where any safe spots are, and just go ahead and use those safe spots to your advantage. Okay, now this guy hasn't used any GBE. He's full. He definitely should be walking around right now. Now, of course, he's using the heavies to take the damage. This rate. I think he might have only lost 1 Zooka to that. Horrible the area that he's attacking, but he's at least doing good. He's using artillery. This barrage is a horrible idea. I think he drew over his own heavy units there, because your barrage does your own units. It will hurt you. So you definitely do not be barraging your own units. And it's just the only thing he could do is maybe shock. He didn't even put the med kit, so it was hitting, but those are all of those Zookas, so it doesn't matter if his med kit's there or not. Completely face rolled at this point. But I mean, he did have some good skill usage, so it was nice to see that. But unfortunately, really misplaced. And now, of course, we're gonna watch ours. Let's go ahead and see what we do. Okay, now here's a thing. Like, Okay, I want to explain that a little. Now, obviously, we want them to be walking up here, but naturally, they want to go to the closest unit. So, since I know that these are not taken out, they're going to walk over here. Now, if I flare and I have this timed right so I don't hit this mine, that actually gives me extra walking, because instead of walking from here to there, I'm walking from there to there, which does give me like a fraction of a time, but considering I don't have my flares upgrade, it's very, very useful. Now, I'm avoiding all of the defenses. I'm using these energies as a natural area to walk through from this flare. Unfortunately, when I flared over there, they didn't get far enough to the left, and it went going back up to the energy. So at this point, you just kind of wait down. Even if my units were a little too close to this, they have greater range than the flamethrower. This is a very, very safe location. When you're first starting out doing these different operations, you need to be looking at the safe locations. Now, here's something that I like to do, just because it seems a little badass to do it. Now, you'll notice I flare, and I have them no longer attacking this. You're thinking, what the hell's going to happen? I'm going to artillery it and win the game. That's what the hell's going to happen. Real men or women don't look at explosions. So basically, that was just for fun. I mean, obviously, you could have just stood over there and killed it. You didn't have to use the extra energy. But I did pick up some extra energy from these energy cells right here. I want you guys to watch the movement again. Now, I see that they're going to be going into danger, like those mines, I have to flare out again. You kind of have to realize what the closest building is going to be at that time in order to make sure that it's not going to be an issue for you. Now, technically, I could have flared a little bit earlier, taken that stuff out. Maybe if I would have flared right there, they would have taken that one out and then gone over here. Probably not, though. I wanted to leave a few energy cells just in case I didn't make it. If I didn't make it, I wanted those energy cells to be there as like a little anchor for the next person that tried to follow my same path. So we're just going to keep watching this, and you guys know how it ends. But I wanted you to see the movements again. And you'll notice I had a flare over here, but they like spread out wherever they want. Sometimes that will happen. You do have to watch out, because if it ends up pushing someone, like if you flared onto the flamethrower and they push themselves into flamethrower range, that will actually hit units that are outside of flamethrower range. Same thing with mortars. You do have to watch out for that. Can push your units around a bit. So I just wanted to give you guys a little update about what's going on with the operations, and see what was wrong, what was right. Hopefully this really helped. I'm really about trying to give you guys some good tactics, some good playthroughs, see what's going on there. And you'll notice you need to pick units for your fight. So I really recommend a heavy Zooka on most. Tanks are pretty good. They do have more range than Zookas, so they can be definitely used in the right situation. This is a really good combination, like I said, against snipers and cannons. That guy got kicked. And you see another combination of the heavy Zooka. Now, this is weird to have Zookas into heavies, into infantry, into Zooka. And you always want to think about range. Like, if there was warrior, then you'd have warrior into heavy, into whatever. Now, there are some very good combinations where you can do things like warriors and where you can do things like you send out the warrior to soak up some damage, get the attacks onto them, but because infantry and Zookas, because you know you're going to be going into mortar. Unfortunately, that does require your infantry usually to be fairly graded, because whatever splash damage the heavies are going to get, that can a lot of times also hit your infantry. So normally you're going to use a med kit in those kind of situations and have upgraded infantry. You know what? I haven't even seen this one, and someone's getting attacked. So let's go ahead and spectate, and then we'll watch one more, and we're just gonna see what this guy's doing. I can't tell if this guy already got rocked, or there seems to be a fair amount of rocking, because he'd be at around half of the army that he should be now. But who knows? Maybe he just opened up really side of the map, and because of that, we're going to be able to avoid a lot of defenses, which it actually looks like is a fairly good chance. If we were able to keep out of the range of these rockets, machine guns, and yeah, we should be able to have a little safe point right there eventually. If people focus on their tactics. Now he's not like a level 30. I don't recommend going out and getting energy that you don't really need. I mean, yeah, look at how many task force points I got on my attack. I got 10, yeah. Well, that's great, but if you got 10 because you only took out like one building and a bunch of energy, and then you went to attack, and then you got totally fucking rocked, and the next person would have been able to use that energy on things like, you know, maybe they smoked 3 defenses instead of flaring, and then they got to another. No, this is like, okay, yeah, they landed here, they smoked through, and they got to this area, which honestly is going to be worse than flaring around, especially if you're high enough level to have smokes. Your flares are generally going to last longer. This guy's just soaking up all the fucking energy that he can, which is horrible. That is horrible to do, because the higher level people that go after you, their energy is more efficient. They have upgrades for artillery, barrage, flare, shocks. Everything that they do is going to be more efficient. So whenever you're stealing that energy from the higher levels, you're really screwing your own task force over. And look at this. He's not even going. 35 seconds left. What does he do? He continues to get that energy. If he doesn't even use this energy, this is going to be retarded. I'm going to say something, because this is really bad for someone to have done. Okay, he shocks so that he can get another energy. I have no idea what this guy is doing. Alright, let's look at someone who's proficient. Oh, wow. Okay, so obviously he's either going to be attacking from the far right or from the far left. because that Doom Cannon, there's no way that he... What the hell level is this guy? This is crazy. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Going after the 3 hits right there. Gonna hit these 2. Yep. Really good. Really, really good placement. Now, unfortunately, artillery does keep increasing cost, while barrage, you know, if you're not using it, it ends up the cheaper thing to do. So let's see what this here. Ah, that's a very nice landing. He knew that his units would be exactly out of range. And then he even left that energy cell for another person to regroup on. See, if you flare over here, and your flare isn't as long as his, that cell is great to regroup on. Wow, this guy's using critters and everything. This is getting pretty crazy. Question his use of critters there, but if these critters end up getting in front of these it'll definitely have paid off. It's just the problem is you need those critters in front of the heavies when the heavies would be in range, not when the critters would be in range. But see, now would be a great time to put critters, because you have so many cannons that are firing on them. That's just huge damage averted, and a great good shock placement. Now this is a little dangerous. His guys are gonna get screwed up by that mortar. No, okay, good. Did not happen a second time. That would have been really, really deathly. He really needs to regroup at this point. Okay, there we go. There's the regroup. A little later than I would have expected, but we do know that everything works out in the end, so maybe he was waiting for the timing on the rockets, actually. That's a very important thing. You have to wait for the rockets to be out in flight. The last rocket has to leave here. So, like, right... We'll give you an example. Now would be a good time... Or wait, sorry, now would be a good time to flare. You have to wait for the last rocket to get out of position, because the thing about the flare, and you can't have it a very far flare, because the thing about the flare is what you're doing is you're trying to get your heavies in front of your Zookas at all time. So when you flare, considering that heavies move faster than Zookas, it is a hard thing to keep them in front if you have it flared to a far distance. Now, if you have it flared to a far distance, your heavies will end up outpacing your Zookas, and then anything that does high damage to your Zookas, like mortar, machine gun, rocket launcher, shock launcher. I mean, there is a lot of things you do not want hitting those Zookas. And if you flare too far, that the heavies end up getting in front of the Zookas with towers behind you, then you end up really screwing over your Zookas, because those heavies can't be taking the damage anymore. So it's really good to work on your timing, to watch videos like this, even watch videos that are a fail. Like, even if they end up messing up the timing, you can say, okay, you know, their boat was really far away. Maybe they did the exact same timing for if it was a player base, but because their boat is so far away on operations, the distance that it took for the flare to go out, you know, ended up being so long that they messed up their timing. It's always good to watch things good or bad, because you can always learn from everything. So that's what I just want you guys to, you know, focus on. Just keep trying to learn, keep trying to improve. There's so many different tactics out there with all the different units that you have available.
And I know it takes a long time for you guys to unlock things like tanks, even like really high level warriors, like 7 and above, is when they start getting really good, because your shocks end up lasting a long time. You've got smokes, they can really get in there, do a bunch of damage. Maybe you even got some troop damage mastery going on by that time. I mean, like, there are a lot of things that need to be in place for some of these higher level tactics to work. So I want to show you guys some things that are available at the lower game. So you're not just seeing like, oh my gosh, this guy is talking about, yeah, just send in 40 warriors into the headquarters and you can beat it. You can easily beat stage 3 of Dr. Tab. I don't know why you guys it's like, yeah, if you're using, 40 warriors, then of course it's going to be really easy. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to like the video, throw in some comments about stuff you want to see, or stuff that you liked. Go ahead and share this to any of your Boom Beach friends that you think maybe can find this useful. Don't say, hey, you should learn how to do this. Just try to be tactful. Try to be tactful, my friends. So I'll see you guys next time, and as always, catchphrase.